The Archon is the most important character released in any region, and despite her being just barely over one patch away, we know precious little about her. Or do we? Looking through brand new Fontaine mechanics, her lore, the release of other Fontaine characters, looking at past patterns from Sumeru, and comparing her to other Hydro characters, I actually believe that Hoyoverse has told us a lot more about her kit than you might think. Or I could be completely out to lunch. Welcome to Jello Impact, where we build and test every single character to help you decide who you want to wish for and build. Starting with the Arca system with Ousia and Pneuma, this is going to be a really short one. We know that there's two different types of energy, dark and light, or however you want to call it, of Arca, one of which is Ousia and one of which is Pneuma, that all characters in Fontaine have. So of course, Farina is going to be no exception. And we can see that she actually has two different eye colors, one dark and one light. If I had to guess, Farina is going to apply Ousia and Pneuma, if not at the same time or with two different parts of her kit. So far, Ousia and Pneuma has not made a massive difference, even in the Abyss, but I do think that she will be able to apply both, and I do think she'll be applied to both fairly well. We also have other new Fontaine mechanics from the craftable weapons. All of the craftable weapons talk about being healed. It would be pretty weird if the Archon was a healer. I wanted to talk about the other Hydro characters later, but it seems to fit to talk about Kokomi now. If the Archon were to fit in with these weapon types, and these weapons were to speak to something about her kit, I would imagine that she would actually heal the character, because the bow, when the wheeler is healed, that does more damage. A bond of life will be created for the sword, and then it needs to be healed. The claymore, when the wheeler is healed, restore energy, and another bond of life. So I would imagine that the Archon would heal based on that, because it does feel like this, like the theme of these weapons should be tied somehow to the region and to the Archon, because so far we haven't had any characters that actually heal. We've only had characters that take away their own HP and that do heal themselves. So, but I really don't think that she would encroach fully upon Kokomi's territory and completely power creep her. So I think that if she does heal, which then she's not going to heal very much, maybe just enough to get some of these passives, but not enough to be a full self-sustain for your team. But it's hard to say. Those are kind of confusing. Let's look at some more evidence first. Next, we have the two Fontaine artifact sets, the Golden Troop and the Mariachi Hunter. So far, all the characters that have been released work with the Mariachi Band Hunter and not with the Golden Troop. Every single one, actually. And if you believe any of those people that have had premonitions of future characters, then you know that Novelette and Risley are also going to be using the Mariachi Hunter. So I would bet my bottom dollar that Farina is going to be using the Golden Troop set. Plus, the colors just, I think, work for her. I think that they look quite good with the gold and white with the blue accents, whereas she is blue with gold and white accents. Not as much white, but with some blue. So I think that this is the set that she's going to be using. It definitely matches a lot more than this set for her. And so far, the reason why I say this is because so far, if we look at past character trends, Nahida, the Archon, used the Gilded Dreams, or sorry, well, she can use the Gilded Dreams, but she mostly used the Deepwood Memories artifact set. It's a lot better for her in most circumstances. And of course, we know that Raiden used the Emblem of Severed Fates. So we have a history of the characters using the artifact sets and having their signature, the Archon's signature set be one of the two sets that was originally released. And I just think since every single character, we've had all the 5 stars from the region so far use the Mariachi Hunter. So I would definitely expect her to use the Golden Troop. And now, what does that say about her? Well, it says that she's going to be getting increased elemental skill damage by 20%, increased elemental skill damage by 20% more. Additionally, when not on the field, elemental skill damage will be further increased by 20%. This effect will be cleared 2 seconds after taking the field. I think that this very, very, very clearly communicates a large part of her kit, that she will be off-field dealing damage with her elemental skill. I think that that's very obvious looking at the Flower of Life. I think this just spells it out. This set doesn't work with any character in the game right now except for Fischl, which was released so long ago. Like, they didn't just make this set for Fischl. This is for the Archon, 100%. If I'm wrong, then I'll mail one of my viewers one of my figures back there. I am not wrong about this. She will use her elemental skill. She will use this set. I do expect her to potentially work with this set though. I think if there will be probably a meme build or a suboptimal build or something that will work with this set, because I do think she will take away her own HP, but I do not expect her to be using the normal and charge attack as a main portion of her damage. I think it's possible. Maybe we get some sort of weird on-field build, but I definitely think it will be suboptimal compared to the Golden Troop set. Now I want to take a sec thinking about her lore. What does her personality say about her playstyle? I do think, especially since Inazuma, that the Archon's playstyle has somewhat represented their lore, with Raiden being literally like a warlord, being an on-fielder, damage dealer, and the eternity theme, recharging energy, keeping that eternal cycle of energy. I think it kind of fits. And Nahida being in the back, being a supportive type of mastermind, being behind the scenes, not being on field, not doing a ton of damage herself, being off field. That's sort of how her lore is, and that's of course very similar to how she plays in game. So I think looking at her lore gives us some indication of the style that they're going for, especially when we combine it with other things. The main thing I can think of for her personality is that she is sort of a more selfish type individual and without regard for others, and even gets others to kind of do her dirty work or do things for her. So a little high and mighty, a little selfish, a little, you serve me kind of vibe. And so if I had to guess, I don't think she's going to be a support. I don't think that she's going to be buffing your team or doing a ton to heal your team. If anything, I would expect her to take away damage from your team. If I had to guess, I'm going to guess that she sucks other people's HP to enhance her own off-field damage. That's what I think. And I also think that she might restore some HP to the off-fielders as well, but it will be kind of mitigated by the fact that she's sucking the HP away. So it's maybe some sort of ebb and flow, like she sucks away HP, then she gives back HP, and that boosts her damage. It sounds kind of weird, but that's how I think it's going to be. I think that that's how she'll get her power. And I actually made a quick little list. It's not going to be fully accurate, but just on how I think that if she, because if you think about it, if she does this, she will enable other characters to use that Mariachi Band artifact set. And I was thinking, would that really change the game for them? Because of course, not only would they have to be able to use the set, which they would, but they also have to be able to synergize with the normal attack bonus of the set to actually make it worthwhile. And they'd actually have to want her on the field. So I don't think that there's actually a ton of characters that would actually see a massive increase and massive buff. I do think that some vape characters that want to be on field, and maybe I missed some other vape characters on here as well. I actually think that maybe Dea could be better as well, but we'll talk about that in a minute. But I do think that someone like Yoimiya, imagine her, if Farina does a lot of off-field damage, she enables Yoimiya, and maybe Yoimiya's Shimenawa is too good. Maybe it was just potentially slightly better. I haven't done math. I haven't thought about this. I'm just thinking of how many characters would actually become broken, because not only does the normal and charge attack damage have to be a significant part of their kit, so like Wanderer, they also have to make use of Farina on the team, and they can't, and that means you're foregoing using anyone else on the team. So you always have to be using Farina with them on the team, which is kind of scuffed. You don't really want to be doing that. Plus, a lot of these characters already have their own signature artifact set, and so they don't want to run Farina, or they already have their own signature artifact set, or they don't use the normal and charge attack bonus. Because like Zhao, right? We already know Zhao can use the set, but it's not better for him. It's a slight upgrade if you're low investment, and it's a downgrade if you're medium to high investment. So overall, I don't see that many characters actually getting a big change from the set. Mostly it just comes to mind is Hu Tao, because she doesn't really have a set that perfectly synergizes. Even I have Yan Fei up there, but even she has, Wanderer's Troop actually does have good synergy with her kit. But I don't know, maybe it will. Again, my overall point is not that list is exactly right, but that I don't see a massive amount of people being affected by the fact that they can suddenly use this set, even though that this will be good on them and it will enable a ton of like meme builds or cool builds. I don't think that's going to be a big game changer, so I don't think it's too much to assume. Like, I don't think that one could say that, oh, she would make those characters too broken, therefore she's not going to have this type of effect, because otherwise she would enable that set and that set would be too broken on them. I don't think that's going to be the case. Okay, next we got two more things to cover, looking at the other Hydro characters and also the Sumeru and Inazuma patterns. So the biggest thing I want to look at for the Sumeru and Inazuma patterns is that, especially with Sumeru, the future character enabled other characters to be better, especially characters that were later on in their life cycle. And you could even extrapolate that slightly to certain characters from Inazuma as well, making previously released characters better. We'll start with that. Let me just prove my point first, then we'll move into what I think that this implies. So if we look at the release timeline, towards the end of Leeway, we got Eula and we got Kazuha. And lo and behold, both Eula and Kazuha on release were fine, we're good. Eula was good, Kazuha was great, people thought he was mid, but he was actually great. The thing is, if you look back at all the teams that Kazuha improved, Like, yes, he improved Hu Tao for sure, but compared to Sucrose, not really all that much. They're about the same with the vape carry. Didn't improve Zhao, didn't improve Ganyu, because Ganyu really was more melt with Zhongli, or she would just prefer Venti. Albedo, no change. Zhongli, no change. He did improve Kazuha and Klee's team, but on the whole, but he did improve Tartaglia and Klee's team, but on the whole, Kazuha got much improved from Inazuma. Ayaka was on Ayaka wants Kazuha. Yoimiya wants Kazuha. Raiden wants Kazuha. Shenhe wants Kazuha. Ayato wants Kazuha. Yaimika wants Kazuha. So a lot of the characters coming into Inazuma were a buff for Kazuha. He really buffs them, but he got better because of future synergies. Eula also got better from the Archon, from future synergies, making those past characters, especially those later ones, better. Raiden was only released a couple patches after Eula. You can't tell me that Eula wasn't designed with Raiden in mind. I definitely think she was. Maybe not fully conceptualized, maybe not fully planned out, but I definitely think that they were thinking about it. If you don't think so, then, you know, that's fine, difference of opinion. But if we also look towards the Sumeru patch, we know that Yaimiko got a nice buff in Sumeru. Ayato was obviously very useful. A lot of Hyper Bloom teams. Yelan definitely hugely utilized through Sumeru. Kuki obviously as well, very much made with Sumeru in mind. And so like the few characters released right before, especially the last 2 to 3 5-stars, told us something about the future. Now, do I think that will be the case for Fontaine? I'm honestly not sure. We've got Baiju and we've got Dia. So we've got Mika. So I've got some massive tinfoil hat hopium that somehow Farina's off-field application could somehow make Dea better. That Dea's best team would have Farina in it, doing off-field hydro damage and a lot of it in AoE, such that you don't have to proc Xingqiu's rain swords because she's just doing off-field damage. So Dea can now vape her hits, do a lot more damage. You get the personal damage from Farina, you've got double swirls from Kazuha, and then you have Bennett buffing your on-field Dea, and Dea is finally decent. What a time to be alive. That's my hopium. For Baiju, how could Baiju, like, obviously Dendro works with Hydro very well with Hyper Bloom and everything like that. How would Baiju specifically help? I mean, he has good healing if she's taking away HP, but that's just synergy with healers in general, so I'm not sure. I think this is maybe one of my weakest arguments, but I think it's interesting. I think it's worth talking about. I think there's something noteworthy here. I think obviously because Dendro released a whole new element, it's easier to buff older characters than it is when you're not introducing a whole new element, but mostly I just really wanted to talk about Dia, and every chance I get, I talk about how hopefully potentially Copium Dia could work. When we looked at Linny, I was really rooting and hoping for Dia. When we're looking at Risley and Nervalet, I was really hoping for Dia, but I don't think either of those will actually do it for her. But we have one more chance with the Archon. Please, Hoyoverse. Please, please, please. And finally, versus the other current Hydros, and then on to my final predictions. I don't think we're getting an on-fielder. There's just no way. Nervalet's going to be an on-fielder. Ayato's an on-fielder. There's no way she's an off-field normal attack proccing character. We've got Xingqiu and Yelan. There's no way. The only AoE off-field Hydro characters we have are Ayato-ish and Kokomi-ish. A large part of Kokomi's kit is actually built around her on-field potential. I'm talking about her burst. So I don't think it's out of the realm of the possibility that Farina could actually be a pretty sizable power creep / upgrade for Kokomi. The only thing I have a really hard time with my theory is that will she really restore HP when we have Kokomi? Because if you think about this, if she restores HP and does a ton of off-field damage, then Kokomi is just gone. Like, she's just awful. She's just terrible. She would be one of the most power creeped characters that we've ever had. If Farina could be an off-field hydro applicator, defensive utility, and damage, Kokomi would just be quite bad, to be honest. And I have a really hard time seeing Genshin doing that. Like, just absolutely killing one of their characters. So honestly, what if she doesn't heal? What if she just sucks the rest of her team's HP and you need to run a healer with her? That seems bad too. I just don't think that, I think that people are going to doom post that too much. I think that people won't be getting hyped about that enough. A character that actually kills your characters seems like a cool kit. Like, I would be down for it, but it feels like it's just a bit too harsh, especially for an Archon. I think they want the Archons to not be doom posted. So if I I had to guess, she's going to take away HP, but she's going to give us back as much as she gets. So she's not going to kill your character, but she's also going to heal your character, but she's also not. So she's going to do both, but it's going to equalize. And I think that she will have good off-field hydro application, but not as good as Xingqiu or Yelan. Maybe she does 1.5 units of hydro. If you don't know what that means, it just means that the hydro lasts longer on the enemy, so you can do more reactions to it. Yelan and Xingqiu offer 3 hits at a time, so they always do a hydro application. I'm thinking maybe Furina's ticks just aren't as fast, so she provides overall less hydro, but maybe slightly stronger hydro. So overall, it's worse hydro application, but it's an AoE, and she does damage that doesn't need to be procced by normal attacks, and she does all of this from off field. She will slightly improve Dia, and she will be a buff for Hu Tao. That's what I think. Let me know what you think in the comments below, and we're gonna obviously revisit this and see if I'm totally spot on or if I'm totally out to lunch. If you've thought of something that I haven't, let me know. Please consider subscribing if you haven't already. It is totally free way to support the channel. If you want to do something that's not free, check out my Patreon. You get priority access to account reviews. And if you want to join a great community, check out our Discord. And if you don't want to do any of those things, that is totally fine. Just watching the video has been more than enough. Thanks so much. Bye for now.